Going to replace the thumbstick on this Nintendo 64 controller. It's actually in pretty good shape, but I have a GameCube thumbstick type replacement. Zoom in. That should be a lot superior. Just did a previous video where I did a replacement of the stock thumbstick with a stock type replacement. This is the original Nintendo part that came out, and here's the controller that I replaced. The thumbstick is a lot tighter. Seems to be a little bit better, but overall I'm not impressed. I'm really disappointed in actually the quality of the OEM type replacement with the long little stick there. I'm thinking that this one is going to be far superior, even though it's like $10, $11 instead of like $4. But get what you pay for. It should be a pretty easy replacement. The stock type one I got was terrible. Really disappointed in how the replacement process went. It looked cheap. The solder joints were bad. Things were exposed. I had to get some wire cutters to remove a zip tie that was in the way of reassembling the controller. So if you're thinking about being cheap, you can go watch that video and look at all the fun I got to go through. But for this, there's 9 screws on the back. There's 7 down here, and there are 2 inside of the connector. Number 1 Phillips screwdriver is all you should need to do the replacement. I'm using a number 1 JIS, Japanese Industrial Standard screwdriver, which should fit the screws a little better. It's pretty nice, but if you're just doing a couple controllers, maybe 4 of them or whatever, I would not spend the money on a screwdriver. Just use whatever you've got. And I'm making sure to put the screws, I like using plastic cups, but stick them somewhere where you don't want to lose them. It would not be fun to have to crawl around on the floor or something looking for a screw that lost. So I got the 7 down there out, and then there's just 2 more on either side of the connector. We'll zoom in, and you can see the screws down in there. So go and remove that, and then the back cover will just pull right off. I'm going to stick these screws in a different cup because you can see that they're different size. So put a cup over top, and I know where everything is. So all 9 screws are out. I'm going to move these out of the way so I don't lose them. And let's zoom back out. There we go. Then the back of the controller just lifts off, and it comes off. The 2 shoulder buttons, they're just going to fall off. I tried to keep them in place with the other thumbstick that I tried replacing, but it just did not work out. Now there's 3 more screws that need to be, zoom in all the way. There's 3 screws that need to be removed, so I'm going to take another cup, stack it so I don't lose my screws. Do not want to lose the screws, and there is the connector for the thumbstick. So 1, 2, 3. I've got that out, and so now going to want to take a look, and we got to go around. I think that's a capacitor right there to put it back into place, and we're going to have to remove the connector. The connector is going to be kind of annoying to remove, so I'm going to hold down on it with my thumb to keep the board into place. You can lift the board off and stuff, but then the buttons are probably going to fall out everywhere, and that is going to be super annoying. Grab it and pull it out. As long as you keep some force down, not too difficult to get out. And then the other thing we're going to have to do is, here is the Z button, and there's just 2 clips on either side. So I'm going to use a finger and just, pull the clip just a little bit out of the way. It appears that the one on the left, when the controller is down, will bend out of the way. It kind of goes in there. The one on the right is going to be stiffer, but now we have the original piece out. And at this time, if you want to clean up the controller a little bit, grab a Q-tip. I've got some 70% rubbing alcohol, but then you could go all around and clean out the gap between the 2 pieces that generally gets pretty gross. So, and then if you have any problems with any of the buttons, there's the contact pad that you push. This makes contact with the board, completes the circuit, and that's how the controller knows that the button was pressed. So any problems with buttons, you can just further disassemble the controller, basically lift it out, get some rubbing alcohol on a Q-tip, rub the pad off, and rub that off, and you should be good to go. And if we take a close look, I don't think this is, it's not. I can lift that out, and you can see the board that makes up the controller, all the contact pads, and then all the contact points below it. You can just rub those down with rubbing alcohol if you have any problems with buttons not reading or anything like that. And then here's the wire, how it goes into place. Give a good view. So now I'm going to take the replacement thumbstick, set it into place, and then from here it's just screwing things back together. And this one shouldn't have any fitment issues because, again, the wires are coming out where they're supposed to instead of the other cheap stock type replacement one. It was seriously awful. Probably going to buy another of the GameCube thumbstick types. This was by Video Game Museum. The other was just a replacement joystick, a repair box. So replacement joystick for N64, repair box. Would absolutely not buy this. And then, there's the zip tie that I had to remove, and now I got stuff everywhere. So, got that into place. So the thumbstick's not going anywhere. Now we need to take the connector and make sure it lines up correctly. Want the holes in the connector to be towards the back of the controller, so when we're looking down, they're facing up towards the camera. And here is the connector they need to go to, and we want to route it around, I'm pretty sure that's a capacitor, stick it into there, and slide it into place. That one went in really easily. I had difficulty getting the cheaper part into place. You can go watch the video if you don't believe me. Then we need to take the Z button, snap it right in there, and wow, that is actually doing a better job of holding it than even the original OEM Nintendo piece. Then you see the two pegs that will allow the contact pad to be aligned correctly and stay into place, and it just goes down, making sure the black pad goes onto the contact point. And we want to make sure to get it in there. All aligned well, holding up really well. Pretty nice so far. Then we want to replace the shoulder buttons. There's just a little peg on there that needs to be put into the corresponding hole, and then the circular part should go over the contact pad on the shoulder. In there fine. In there fine. Now you want to be careful with moving the controller when you're trying to put the back plate on, so it does not move around, so you don't lose the shoulder buttons. Zoom out some. And then we're just going to take it and just kind of go straight down. I want to make sure that it gets aligned correctly. And just go around, make sure it's fitting well, and that, you know, there's the normal gap you would expect. We're not squeezing on any wires or anything like that. And then after that, I'm going to start putting in the screws. Again, the 7 larger screws go down here, and the 2 smaller ones go on either side of the Rumble Pack memory card slot in there or whatever. This was so much easier to do than the cheap replacement part. So I got 2 screws in. It should hold into place. We can take a look. Wow, I mean, that feels like a GameCube controller. Nice, smooth, and this, the replacement controller, you know, I don't like, it's stiff. It's got some play in there right out of the box. Yeah, I just don't like that. This one, you know, I mean, there's no play. It's smoother. It's not jerky or anything like that. Maybe the other one needs some break-in time, but again, it's a little bit more expensive. You're looking at $10, $11, but really think the quality is there. So just screw everything back in. There'll be a link to the other video if for whatever reason you want to watch me have a bad time putting the thumbstick in the other controller, and there'll be links in the description below for where you can find the replacement parts. So I got 2 more screws to go, and then I'm done with the larger 7. And be careful not to over tighten the screws. They don't need to go in there super hard. Don't want to strip the plastic that they screw into, and also don't want to be, you know, disassembling and reassembling the controller all the time, because that'll just cause problems and the plastic will give out, and then it will be terrible. You know, just finger tight. Last screw. That's in there, and we're done. Oh, that's so nice. Thanks for watching. I hope that helped.